Eldridge, a village nestled deep within an ancient forest. The trees stood tall and imposing, their branches intertwined like skeletal fingers. Sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy, casting the village in perpetual twilight. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp earth and pine needles. Eldridge was a place of shadows and secrets, where the whisper of the wind carried the weight of ages. The village itself was small, a cluster of wooden houses with thatched roofs. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, a testament to the simple lives lived within. Cobblestone paths wound their way between the houses, worn smooth by generations of feet. A sense of timelessness pervaded Eldridge, as if the village itself were holding its breath, lost in some ancient memory. The villagers of Eldridge were a hardy folk, accustomed to the rhythms of nature and the mysteries of the forest. They lived in harmony with the land, their lives intertwined with the changing seasons. But beneath the surface of their everyday existence lay a current of unease, a deep-seated awareness of the ancient power that surrounded them. The villagers of Eldridge held on to their traditions. They believed in the old ways, in the spirits that resided in the forest. They whispered tales of ancient beings, of guardians and protectors, but also of dark forces that lurked in the shadows. Superstitions were woven into the fabric of their lives, a mixture of respect and fear for the unseen world. Days in Eldridge were filled with the routines of life. The blacksmith's hammer rang out in a steady rhythm, shaping metal on the anvil. Children chased each other through the narrow lanes, their laughter echoing off the stone walls. Women gathered at the well, their voices a low murmur as they exchanged news and gossip. Life in Eldridge was simple, untouched by the complexities of the outside world. But the forest was a constant presence, a silent observer to their lives. It held them in its embrace, both protecting and threatening. The villagers knew that they lived at the edge of a mystery and that the forest held secrets best left undisturbed. Margaret, the village baker, was known for her warm smile and even warmer bread. Her small bakery was a comforting presence in Eldridge. One evening, as the sun set, Margaret was closing up her bakery. The air was still, broken only by the chirping of crickets.
It's so quiet tonight.
As Margaret stepped outside, she felt a chill. Then she heard it. A whisper, faint and indistinct, carried on the breeze. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once.
What was that? No, it's just the wind, just the wind.
Shaking off the unease, Margaret locked her door and hurried home. The next morning, a strange unease settled over Eldridge. The usual bustle of village life seemed muted, the air thick with a palpable tension. The children, usually so full of energy, were subdued, their play hesitant and filled with nervous glances towards the forest's edge. Whispers of strange occurrences began to circulate through the village. Farmers spoke of their animals behaving erratically, refusing to leave their barns. Mothers shared stories of their children waking in the night, their eyes wide with terror, claiming to have seen things moving in the shadows.
Mommy, I saw something in the shadows.
Margaret, her face pale, listened as Thomas the blacksmith recounted how he had seen a fleeting shadow, tall and gaunt, lurking at the edge of the woods.
I swear it was there just for a moment. A shadow, tall and gaunt, right at the forest's edge.
A cold dread settled in her stomach. The whisper she had heard the night before, the unease that had gripped her, it was not her imagination. Something was amiss in Eldridge, something dark and unknown. As dusk approached, the villagers gathered in the square. Fear hung heavy in the air, uniting them in their shared dread. They spoke in hushed tones, their faces etched with worry. The whispers, the shadows, the growing unease. Something was amiss in Eldridge.
Nervously, I tried to dismiss it, to think it was just the wind. But seeing everyone here, hearing their stories, something is terribly wrong.
Margaret stood among them, her heart pounding. She had tried to rationalize the whisper as a trick of the wind, but seeing the fear in her neighbor's eyes, she knew something was wrong.
Firmly. We cannot ignore this any longer. Something is haunting our village, something evil. We must find out what it is and stop it.
As darkness fell, a group of villagers, armed with lanterns and their courage, prepared to venture into the forest. Fear was a living presence, but so was their determination to uncover the source of their terror.
Grimly. Stay close, everyone. Keep your eyes open and your wits about you.
Thomas, his face grim, led the way, his hand resting on the hilt of his axe. Margaret, her heart pounding, walked beside him, her fear outweighed by a sense of responsibility for her village. The forest was a different place at night. The familiar trees loomed large and menacing, their branches like grasping claws against the moonlit sky. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. The villagers moved cautiously, their footsteps muffled by the carpet of fallen leaves.
Whispering, this place feels different, more sinister than during the day.
The deeper they ventured into the forest, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The whispers seemed to grow louder, swirling around them like a malevolent wind. Shadows danced at the edge of their vision, and the darkness seemed to press in on them from all sides. The villagers, their hearts pounding in unison, emerged into a clearing. The trees thinned, their branches twisted and gnarled, as if contorted in silent agony. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient altar, its surface worn smooth by time and etched with strange symbols, and there before the altar stood a figure shrouded in darkness.
Coldly, you have disturbed my slumber. For centuries I've slumbered beneath these woods, but your fear has awakened me. Now, you shall pay the price.
The figure was tall and gaunt, its form shifting and wavering like smoke in the moonlight. It exuded an aura of ancient power, of something both alluring and terrifying. The villagers froze, their breath catching in their throats as they stared at the apparition. The figure's words hung in the air, heavy with menace. Terror gripped the villagers, rooting them to the spot. They were trapped, caught in the grip of an ancient evil they could not comprehend.
A sacrifice, the figure boomed, its voice reverberating through the clearing. One of you must be offered to appease me. Only then will the whispers cease and the shadows retreat.
Margaret, her heart pounding against her ribs, felt a surge of defiance rise within her. She had always been a woman of quiet strength, the heart of her village. She would not let her people be terrorized by this creature, this embodiment of darkness.
Take me, she said, her voice trembling but resolute. Release my village. Let their fear end with me.
Silence descended upon the clearing, heavy and absolute. The figure turned towards Margaret, its form shifting and swirling like a phantom flame. The villagers watched, their eyes wide with a mixture of horror and awe, as Margaret stood unflinching before the embodiment of their nightmares. A low growl, like the rumble of distant thunder, emanated from the figure. Then, slowly, it extended a hand towards Margaret, its touch promising oblivion. Margaret closed her eyes, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. She was ready to embrace her fate, to sacrifice herself for the well-being of her village. But instead of pain, Margaret felt a strange warmth spread through her. She opened her eyes to see a blinding light emanating from the point where the figure touched her forehead. The figure recoiled, a sound like 1,000 screams escaping its shadowy form. The light intensified, engulfing the clearing in a blinding radiance. The villagers shielded their eyes, cries of both fear and wonder escaping their lips. When the light finally subsided, the clearing was empty. The figure was gone, vanished without a trace. And so was Margaret. The villagers searched for her, their hearts filled with a mixture of grief and gratitude, but Margaret was never found. The forest had claimed her, but not as a victim. She had become one with the ancient power that resided within the woods, her sacrifice ensuring the safety of her village. The whispers ceased, the shadows retreated, and a profound silence settled over Eldridge, a silence born not of fear, but of peace. Margaret's sacrifice had broken the curse, freeing the village from the grip of the ancient evil. Life in Eldridge resumed its normal rhythm, but it was a village forever changed. The memory of that night, of Margaret's bravery, was etched into the very fabric of their lives. They spoke her name with reverence, their voices hushed with respect for the sacrifice she had made. The forest, once a source of fear, became a place of pilgrimage. Villagers would often walk among the trees, their footsteps silent on the soft earth, listening for the whispers of the wind.
And sometimes, if they listened closely, they could almost hear Margaret's voice, a gentle murmur carried on the breeze. a reminder of the love and sacrifice that had saved their village.
Eldridge remained a village shrouded in whispers, but they were no longer whispers of fear. They were whispers of the past, of courage and sacrifice, of a love so profound that it had triumphed over darkness itself. And in the heart of that ancient forest, Margaret's memory lived on, a beacon of hope and a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit.